It's amazing listening to all these people, how different stories get changed by different views. I've got a couple of stories here which will completely contradict what Colin, Andy and Todd have said. But first of all, when Colin asked me to be best man, I said no. And then Anne phoned me up and said, "Will I be best man?" She said it was going to be a topless wedding. I said, "Yeah, that's me. I'm in there." She obviously lied about the topless thing, but I'm still having a good time, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I know what you're all asking yourselves tonight. How does someone so beautiful, so lovely, fall for Colin? Good question. So last night we were in the pub and I quietly walked around and asked everyone, give us a word which would describe Colin, which would maybe give me an idea of why Anne would choose Colin. Ugly, smelly, dull, were the main words that came up. In fact, it didn't vary from that at all, really. And I thought, no, that's not right, that's not right. I know Colin better than that. I've got to come up with some better words than that. So I had a bit of a think about it last night when I was absolutely slaughtered. And I came up with a few words. Honourable, mature, athletic, fine physique, daring, masculine, successful, a born leader, companion, confidant, great lover. Oh, that's another story. Passionate, romantic, powerful, bit of a ladies' man. All things that I think women will actually find attractive in their chosen one. So let me explain how I came to know these words which I think describe Colin and why Anne actually fell for him. I've known Colin for 20 years, over 20 years. The first time we met was at Ranelagh School. I think we were 10 years old. And, God, he was a hairy kid then. He was really hairy. So, I mean, that's the maturity. Oh, so mature though. We actually went to see his older sister, my older sister, play hockey. And they got to be about 12, something like that. And unlike other naughty little 10-year-olds, Harry, we didn't actually follow them into the shower to get a sneaky peek of prepubescent girls having the shower. We just stayed outside and played football instead, which you might say is an honourable thing, but it's actually something that stuck with us all the way through our teens. This label of a Ranelagh boy who never really had the approach right with the ladies until later on in life. And the other thing he actually did was he actually kept scoring goals against me. I've got to say, he's got to be the gangliest, uncouth mover I've ever seen, but he clearly had some talent, and that is the athlete in Colin. We then, throughout puberty, I don't think Colin was really known for having girlfriends, but he definitely talked to mine all the time. In fact, he had a reputation for talking to every other guy's girlfriend. And God, he used to. I'm not going to swear, and I'm not going to swear, but it annoyed me. And it annoyed a lot of the other guys as well. And while we thought he was a bit of a pest and an object of jealousy, the girls obviously thought he was a good companion and a great confidant, should I say. Other attributes which would be seen by Anne later on in life. Then we move on, or Mr. Cart, never mind, we'll carry on anyway. We hit sixth form, which was his greatest moment, really. It's got to be said. Not talking about peaking too soon, I think. He became managing director of Byzantium, was it? Yeah, which Tim was never really got over, have you, Tim? Which is the young enterprise company thing where they actually take part in some industry stuff and they make, I think it was puppets or something. And you actually made it all the way to the national final. It was a competition against other schools. It was an amazing achievement. And also he was head boy. He was head boy, which is surprising to everyone because no one actually knew who he was at the time. Who the fuck's Colin? Oh, science. So, boo, yes, sorry about that. But and then he had some of his greatest challenges, actually. And Dave, I think he put him in a bin once. Tom O'Hare used to throw plates at him. But he used to take all his aggression out on little first years, making them move tables and put chairs away, stuff like that. Then he moved on to university, which was a great moment for him, because that's where he found his calling. Pubs were his thing. For a man that doesn't drink beer, quite amazing. Doesn't like beer at all. But he loved this pub and he joined the Old Varsity Taverners, which Andy's explained to you before, as a scummy glass collector. But being a clever guy, he learned the ropes very quickly, and he became assistant manager in, what, 5 years? Didn't take long. And as part of assistant manager, he actually was in charge of recruitment of bar staff. And he actually wrote the criteria down, because it's obviously important, these things. And I think it was, one, was it female? 2, pretty. 3, large breasts. It's far more complex than that. There's no one from... Yeah, there's no one... You're not going to get done for it now. It's way gone now. It's all right. But, so he had an eye for ladies. He did know... and all ladies like a bit of a bastard. And Colin was a bit of a bastard. And it's got to be said, just quickly, because I'm not going to mention any names, so, I'm not going to go that far, but Colin, calm down. But, yeah, he did actually learn one major skill, which all men would wish to learn, love to learn, which is to totally exploit your position of authority to pull the chicks. But unfortunately that came to an end. That did come to an end. The youth club was taken away from them, and they all had to go and get real jobs. And yes, Colin did end up in the Isle of Sheppey, and it was very successful down there, apparently. Workers' men's clubs, they loved you. But then he did network his way back to Birmingham. But unfortunately, because he was no longer in the pub and there was no longer free beer to give out, and he wasn't sort of this purveyor of good-looking girls, he sort of didn't become as popular as he was before. So it was a good thing for him that I was actually turning up in Birmingham at the time. So we came to a bit of an agreement, a sponsorship deal as such, where I would pretend to be his friend and he would pay me money. Rent, yes. And so basically we shacked up together. I mean, we lived together in a flat, and it was just short of a men behaving badly pad. It wasn't that bad, but I do remember we were regularly sitting on the couch, semi-hungover, semi-drunk, unshaven, scratching, burping, farting, swearing at the TV, just like those nasty cartoon characters, Beavis and Butthead. Wanker. It was pretty grim. It was pretty disgusting. But it was very much like that. So, this is Colin gone from his 80s Ranelagh Boys days to 90s lad. He was there. He was very good at it, actually. And I thought it was going really well. I thought it was going fantastic well. But Colin had other ideas, actually. And we actually did part, and I left Birmingham, and I thought the sponsorship deal was still intact. But suddenly he just cut me adrift, basically, and I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. And I asked my friends what was all this about. He said he's found a new girl. Beautiful girl. An American. Oh, it sounds very 4 weddings, doesn't it? Sounds, it's got to be fantastic. So who's this girl then? She's absolutely gorgeous. She's a lot nicer than you. She's a lot more fun than you. And she's even more popular than you. Colin even gets invited to dinner parties in Harborne. The Harborne Wife Swapping Club. He even gets invited to the Harborne Wife Swapping Club. Because of that. I must admit, he never got invited when I was with him. But so anyway, I was put out by this. I thought this ain't right. So I went back up to Birmingham, and so I went and called in on the house. I walked in there, and there, half drunk, half hungover, scratching, farting, grunting, swearing at the TV, unshaven, was out. And I thought, fair enough. I can't compete. I can't compete at all. So, I think it just sums up. There are some good words for Colin. I think I wrote them down somewhere. And I told you them before. But, yes, definitely, they are a perfect match. And if you just indulge me, this is not written down, this is perfect just for me. I think you go through life, and it's a bit difficult sometimes, and you need your friends around you. And some of these friends are in couples, and they're like pillars. Just to make sure that that path just goes like that. And you'll know when some of those pillars fall down, life's just not quite right. You get knocked off your path a bit. But you need those pillars just to make sure you go on the right path. I'm not going to blub. But I'm just going to say, I think Colin and Anne have become one of those pillars for me. So, on behalf of the bridesmaid, could you please be up and standing to the bride, say a toast to the bride and groom.